welcome back to Symbols. My name is Nico Despopoulos. Last time we took a look at the 2021 Disney movie Raya and the Last Dragon, and we saw how the story arc of this film seemed to be layered right over the top of the Kabbalistic description of creation through the emanation of lights. We saw these 5 nations born out of the shattering of a perfect world. They were saved by this group of dragons, 5 dragons, who were able to push the darkness away. And by the end of this film, these 5 nations who hate each other had to come together and take the position of the dragons to bring the world back up to its previous perfected state. This is essentially everything that Kabbalah teaches us. That's our job, okay? And what we saw particularly in this film was the use of the symbols of circles and lines. And the lines describing the limited state of the created being, the limited perspective of the created being, and the circle showing the eternal, the never-ending perspective of the upper force or the creator, right? And as these nations united, they became part of the circle, right? They saluted each other with the symbol. And in the end, the dragon that can take the form of a circle or a line is embracing all of these characters, right? Now, this time, in this episode, we're going to take a look at another set of 5 phenomenon discussed within Kabbalah. And this in particular is the discussion of desires. Now, here we see a set of 5 desires: bodily pleasures, followed by wealth, followed by power and recognition, followed by knowledge, and followed finally, after everything else has been fulfilled, the created being wants another desire of spirituality. Now, all these desires are fulfilled within the ego, and finally there's something that pushes us out of the ego, where we want connection back to our creator, to become like him. And that means that we have to exit the egoism from before. We have to change these desires so that they can be used in an altruistic way instead of only used for our own satisfaction, right? These 5 desires correspond with the 5 worlds that we talked about before in Raya and the Last Dragon. Okay, and there is no other character that I can think of that best fits his character arc, best fits this description of 5 desires than Gaius Baltar from the 2004 SciFi Chanel remake of Battlestar Galactica. Now, James Callis does a great job portraying what must be the most 3-dimensional character in the entire show as he travels through these 5 desires. So let's take a look at some of these cut scenes from Battlestar Galactica and see exactly what I mean. Now, in this very first cut scene, we see that Gaius Baltar is a man of extreme wealth.
You like everything that's done for you, don't you?
Something to do with yourself.
He knows what he likes, and he takes what he wants.
No, I prefer not to rely on others as much as possible. Less chance of being let down that way.
Well, since you've allowed yourself to be in my capable hands for this evening, here's hoping I won't let you down.
I'll drink to that, Doctor.
You can call me Gaius, actually, if you want. This is crazy. I've actually forgotten your name.
We can also absurdly see that he doesn't even remember this woman's name. And he has no problem enjoying himself with fulfilling his desires. Now, in this next scene, we see exactly how self-absorbed he is, as the whole world seems to be crashing down around him, and he only is concerned about his own safety.
And you believe me because it flatters your ego to believe that alone among all the billions of people of the 12 colonies, you were chosen for my mission.
Your mission? What mission?
You knew I wanted access to the defense mainframe.
Wait a minute. The defense mainframe? What exactly are you saying?
Come on, guys. The communications frequencies, deployment schedules, unlimited access to every database.
Oh my God. I had nothing to do with this. You know I had nothing to do with this.
Amazing capacity for self-deception. How do you do that?
How many people know about me, specifically, that I'm involved?
And even now, as the fate of your entire world hangs in the balance, all you can think about is how this affects you.
Do you have any idea what they do if they find out?
They probably charge you with treason.
Treason is punishable by the death penalty. It's unbelievable.
What are you doing?
Phoning an attorney.
That won't be necessary.
Now you know what to do. Let's sort this out. It's the best in the business.
It won't be necessary because in a few hours, no one will be left to charge you with anything.
What exactly you say?
Humanity's children are returning home today.
No actual enemy has been sighted yet. Officials are saying there doesn't seem any doubt.
What have I done? What am I gonna do? There's no way out.
I know.
Surely no. That's your doing, isn't it? Wait. Wait, there has to be another way out of here. I mean, you must have an escape plan. You're not about to be destroyed by your own bombs, are you? How are you leaving?
Gaius, I can't die. When this body is destroyed, my memory, my consciousness will be transmitted to a new one. I'll just wake up somewhere else in an identical body.
You mean there's more out there like you?
There are 12 models. I'm number 6.
I don't want to die. I don't
Get down.
Now, a lot goes on before we get to this next clip, but basically, Gaius Baltar goes through this struggle just to stay alive. So his basic needs, he fulfills that first set of basic needs, and he reestablishes himself as somebody with some sense of wealth, even in the drastic situation that he and the sole survivors of this catastrophic attack endure. And kind of unwittingly, he also becomes involved in the government, which fulfills the next level of desire. Now, the other strange thing to observe here is that he has some sort of connection with the upper force, that the woman that he was with in the beginning, she comes to represent an angel. Only he can see her. No one else sees this woman who has taken the form of his previous lover. And it causes him to do things. It gives him inspiration to get involved in government and to seek to fulfill these higher desires.
Motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of opening nominations for the vice presidency, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Floor is now open for nominations.
Eventually, he becomes vice president.
Where we stand with each other, Doctor.
And we see how his thirst for power has grown.
Can't imagine what. I've never had anything but the utmost respect for you and your office.
Gaius, she's afraid of you.
Why? Are you asking me?
You saved my life, and I'm grateful. But I sense that there is some unease in you about assuming the presidency, and I'd like to offer you an out.
You what?
Resign. Return to your scientific work on Galactica. No one will question your motives. You can consider it a second chance like the one you gave me.
Charming.
Doctor. This is a one-time offer. I suggest you reconsider.
You know, Madam President, I've never been particularly interested in politics. I never wanted any lofty position of power. I never wanted to be the vice president. That is, until this very moment. Because right now, I can't think of anything I want more.
So again, we have basic needs, wealth, power. Well, he was always a man of knowledge. And in this next clip, we can see exactly how knowledgeable he is and how easily he handles the problems that others might find to be difficult.
Yes, I am curious. Why the sudden interest in the fleet's demographic projections?
An issue has emerged that may prove divisive to our administration. I would like all the facts in hand before making my decision.
So now it's our administration. She must be desperate.
Well, I'm a very busy man. Luckily, I made an initial calculation on these figures over 7 months ago when nobody seemed interested or concerned. All I had to do was factor in the numbers from the Pegasus crew. It took me hardly any time at all, and I didn't mind. Look, I'll save you the bother. You needn't read the report. If we continue on our present course, within the next 18 years, the human race will simply be extinct.
In this next clip, we see how he actually pushes even further to take all the power he can by announcing himself as a candidate for president.
Madam President, your decision to criminalize abortion has created a furor. Do you think that's hurt your standing in the polls?
Absolutely.
If I may, Madam President. It is true, in the light of recent events, the president may have lost support in some quarters. I would ask the people to understand that if this is an extreme decision, we live in extreme times. The decision has been made with good faith. I, however, cannot with good conscience support it. As the vice president, I am bound to follow the administration's lead. As president, I should have no such strictures. Given the current situation, I'm afraid that I have no alternative but to announce that I am, as of now, a candidate for the presidency.
Now here we can see as he's being sworn in that his desire for power, his desire for knowledge, wealth, it's all been about his own personal gratification. And he doesn't really grasp the gravity of his responsibilities for the rest of the people in the fleet.
That I take the office of president of the 12 colonies of Kobol without any moral reservation or mental evasion.
That I will protect and defend the Articles of Colonization.
That I will protect and defend the Articles of Colonization
with every fiber of my being.
with every fiber of my being.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
I accept the role offered to me by the colonies with humility and gratitude. Thank you. No, wait. And now, because it was the first will of the people, I'm going to sign my first executive order, requiring to immediately establish settlements on the planet we have come to know as New Caprica. You have your orders.
In this next scene, we see that he's still the president during an enemy occupation. And finally, we see that he cares about others. He doesn't want to be responsible for their deaths.
I'm not the one who committed the
And
first
he's forced
What's she talking about?
to sign papers to execute people.
I'm not proud of it.
This is all very interesting, very edifying. Sign the order.
You don't need my signature.
Well, actually, we do. We're here as allies and friends of the legitimate government of the colonies. You are the president, so everything we do requires your signature.
In other words, they're worried about what God might think if they commit murder. They're covering their existential S's.
I won't do it. All right, I won't do it. You're going to have to solve your consciences some other way.
Then we'll find another president.
Sign your name! Sign it! Sign it! Sign
There's
it!
nothing you can do, guys.
Sign your name!
Okay.
It's you. Help me.
You have to sign it. They'll kill you if you don't.
Sign it! Sign it! Sign your name! Sign it!
I can't. I won't. You can't force me.
Sometimes you have to do things you hate so you can survive to fight another day.
After the liberation, Gaius Baltar is incarcerated and he goes through yet another transformation. He loses his power, his wealth, all his basic rights. He's facing death and he's exonerated of any crime, but still many people want to kill him. And there's a small cult gathering of people who feel that he's some sort of prophet. And as a child's dying, he prays that God should take his life instead. And we see here he's finally willing to give himself up for others.
New police shot him.
Come on, guys, let's get out of here.
Leave her alone! Look at me! Leave her alone! Look at me! Scream. Come on, scream! I want to see if anyone comes to help you. Ah! Scream! Beg. I bet you beg to silence. Why don't you beg for me? Come on, beg! Get up! Get on your knees! Get up!
You asked God to take your life instead of the boys. Did you mean it?
Yes. Do it. Take my life. Please. Please take my life.
Now, in this next scene, we see that he's been reunited with the woman that we saw him with at the very beginning. They are estranged, and he has an opportunity to offer himself in service with no hope for survival.
No one should feel obligated to join this mission in any way. Let there be no illusions. This is likely to be a one-way trip, so don't volunteer out of sentiment or emotion. There is a line running down this deck. Volunteers, move to the starboard side. Everyone else to the port. Make your choice.
Now, finally, here we have Gaius Baltar as a revealed prophet.
This thing is the key to my people's survival, and I'm not leaving without it.
Here is not a thing. She's a child. And she holds the key to humanity's survival as well.
And how do you know that?
I see angels. Angels in this very room. Now, I may be mad, but that doesn't mean that I'm not right. Because there's another force at work here. There always has been. It's undeniable. We've all experienced it. Everyone in this room has witnessed events that they can't fathom, let alone explain away by rational means. Puzzles, deciphered in prophecy. Dreams given to a chosen few. Our loved ones, dead, risen. Whether we want to call that God or gods or some sublime inspiration or a divine force that we can't know or understand, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's here. It exists. And our two destinies are entwined in its force.
If that were true, that's a big if. How do I know this force has our best interests in mind? How do you know that God is on your side, Doctor?
I don't. God's not on any one side. God's a force of nature, beyond good and evil. Good and evil, we created those. We want to break the cycle. Both the cycle of birth, death, rebirth, destruction, escape, death. That's in our hands. In our hands only. Requires a leap of faith. Requires that we live in hope, not fear.
We learned in a previous scene that his family had been farmers, right? That he'd been connected to the earth, to soil, Adama. Adama is even the last name of the admiral of the fleet. And
I know about
here we see him demonstrating his connection back to the land.
I know. I know you do.
And here in this last scene, we see the two angels who had taken the form of Gaius Baltar and his lover. And they are making comment on what is likely to happen in our future.
At a scientific conference this week at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, the startling announcement was made that archaeologists believe they have found fossilized remains of a young woman who may actually be mitochondrial Eve. Mitochondrial Eve is the name scientists have given to the most recent common ancestor for all human beings now living on Earth. She lived in what is now Tanzania, over 150,000 years ago.
Along with her Cylon mother and human father.
Commercialism, decadence, technology run amok. Remind you of anything?
Take your pick. Cobalt. Earth. The real Earth before this one. Caprica before the fall.
All of this has happened before.
But the question remains. Does all of this have to happen again?
This time, I bet no.
I've never known you to play the optimist. Why the change of heart?
Mathematics, law of averages. Let a complex system repeat itself long enough, eventually something surprising might occur. That too is in God's plan.
He doesn't like that name. Silly me.
So there you have it. Just like with Raya and the Last Dragon, we had this world shattered, and we had parties that hated each other. And in the end, they had to come together to make a more perfect state and become closer to the upper force. And instead, we see here, we see it in a more personal level. With Raya and the Last Dragon, we saw it in terms of systems. Here, we see exactly the desires that each one of us goes through on our journey to spirituality. Gaius Baltar is a complicated character. We don't like him, and we don't want to feel that he is the hero, but he is, in fact, the hero of this story. And he is the perfect description of exactly who we are. We don't like him because he shows us our own frailty, but we also admire him because he shows us our potential. So we see this continued theme, and we will continue to look at more stories that have similar themes and learn more together. So please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Remember also, if you have a show that you think we should take a look at, mention that in the comment, and we'll go forward together. Until next time, be well.